Cips Clip.
Tonight at 11.
Doom! It's a plan! And I'm angry! I'm not a slave! I've broken the conditioning! It doesn't work on me! I'm primitive, I'm real, I know the enemy, and if we can have this spirit of normal humanity spread, it's over for the globalist! Break the conditioning now! Excuse me.
This is not the InfoWars Nightly News, where the answer to 1984 is not $19.95 plus shipping and handling, but the answer is to try and understand the double-barrel bullcrap, the double-speak, and the Orwellian wonderland we now find ourselves in. So sit back and relax as I take you through a real alternative look at the news and so-called alternative media alike. Enjoy.
Cips Clips.
Alrighty, YouTubes, another one of Kips Clips. So, was out celebrating last night, so couldn't make the show. Got some stuff organised, and I thought I would put it on tonight. As well as, well, I don't know, I want to explain this properly. I don't know if this is the interesting shit that's happening in Syria. I find all this stuff highly fascinating and interesting and stuff. Trying to understand what the hell's going on. We know little to no success probably, but it's fun to try. So welcome, one and all. Thanks for joining. It'll be back on next Tuesday as normal. I couldn't make it last night, so I thought we'd put it on tonight instead of stall. So welcome to not the InfoWars Nightly News, the original alternative look at the so-called alternative media. Skeptical with the spectacles about the so-called skeptics, and watching the motherfucking Watchmen, because somebody's got to do it. So welcome one and all. Remember, thumbs it up, share it with your friends and your family and your foes. Help the channel and the show grow. And remember what I do here, it's digital busking. All available and accessible, free of charge. I'm going to do such a good job, you'll find value in what I do and use your spare change, not your life savings, in the Patreon and PayPal buttons down below. Mega, mega, mega thanks to those who do. So let's have a wee look what I've got in the folder tonight. Sure, that was meant to be a Brexit folder, but only one way to find out. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I don't know if you can see the similarities. I'll just keep that. Priorities. So Bobo Johnson doing, I don't know if you have noticed this, he's doing almost the exact same MOO as Trump. Now, depending how you may or may not be framed, for example, if you're pro-Trump, you'll see that he's going directly to the voters and just using the Twitters, connecting directly with the voters, no middlemen, less chance for spin and all that jazz. And I've not watched that many of them actually, I need to find the sources. Won't be that hard. But Bobo Johnson seems to be doing all this social media shit. So Trump's got Twitter. Bobo Johnson, the performing chimp, has got YouTubes. And it's even coming out for Tommy Robinson sources. Or supporters, cult members, whatever. So I thought it was a very interesting comparison. How they're both using the same new mechanisms of persuading the public, let's say. Trump's got his Twitters. And Bojo has got YouTube. So, what else? Boris's Brexit, that's where that was meant to be, actually. Anywho, check out Chunky Mark having a few meltdowns. It's just interesting to see how both sides can call the other sides same shit, you know. The 5G fear and the Five Eyes. Now, what's this? Oh, aye. This is a very interesting speech done by Lord James of Blackheath, where he mentions the Five Eyes, the kind of thing I've been ranting and raving. This is the whole 5G is wrapped up in this pish. Kinda. And looking at that. The sky is falling. AMTV, I mean, I'll let the clip speak for itself. I don't know if you remember Adam, I think his name's Adam Green. AMTV, American Alternative Media Television. And the last time I clocked eyes on him, he just took to selling Bitcoin. And I don't know what his scam is now, but it's one hell of a big scam, and I'll show you as it's funny. No More Jews, I've not touched on him in ages. Now, that's no more news, but again, it's just focuses on one area. The crimes are one nation, one people, whatever you want to say. Monkey see, monkey do. This is a channel that's using my troll-like thumbnails. And I don't know if he's noticed, but there's a hell of a lot going on in Hong Kong and China. Syria. Iran. Wee bit of Trump. Getting impeached, that bullcrap. And the cult of Tommy Pitbag Robinson, which I've got lots of in. Don't know if Danny Tomo getting stabbed should be in there. Unless I think he removed that or something. Sorry, he didn't get stabbed. A squad of people came into a boozer to stab him. And apparently he'd done some ninja-like moves and got his ass out of there. Straight out into the police. But it's not nice when somebody's a squad of people turn up with fucking knives to chop you up. I can see his point. Anyway, so that's what's on the cards tonight. Say hi to those in the chat room. And then I'll get on with the bill crap. So, George Apple, FTW all day in the evening, Sparkle O'Hoor. Thanks for joining, guys and girls. Conspiracy, literature, and counterintelligence. And Vladimir, how you doing, guys and girls? Thanks for joining. Right. So, I touched on the first wee bit of news, which was Bobo Johnson. Let's listen to it, actually.
Hi folks, it's been a very busy week so far. It's only Wednesday, but I've been in Watford where we were talking a lot about investing in our hospitals, massive programme of infrastructure investment in the National Health Service. We're recruiting the first of the new 20,000 police officers across the country. That begins across the country this week. Of course, we've been also negotiating with our friends and partners in the EU about Brexit, and I'm still cautiously optimistic. There's been a certain amount of noise from the wonderful climate change, Extinction Rebellion people, then the haunting, lilting melody of the saxophone wafting in over the Downing Street walls late at night when I've been out exercising the dog, who is in great shape.
That's the most interesting thing. The dog's in great shape. Now, this guy's the best guy in the world to watch with the sound down. Look, he just looks like he's laughing at you. It's like, talking. He just looks like he's. Maybe it's just me. I get the impression that he talks down at every cunt. Well, there's the Prime Minister, I suppose, but anyway. Right, get to that in a wee second. Let's just go down the list. Why not? Some.
The front page of the Daily Express this morning. The tide has changed. Liar, cheat, groper, Brexit clown. You are fake news, Chucky. You are fake news. You painted that. I never. Is that it? Tory conference flops. It's even worse than Theresa May's. Trump, I want a wall. I want it electrified, spikes on top, plus a moat filled with gators. And if anyone gets over, shoot them. Boris, send Corbyn the communist cosmonaut into orbit. Hotheads. You gotta go and get the newspaper. The City of London, the city of corruption, boozing bankers set their hair on fire.
So this is what the left are melting down over.
Do or die.
Oh, these are wee artistic pieces. With music. Won't pass the censors, I don't think. Now, let's check out some 5G fear.
Manifesting all around us. We drive down the streets, we see these bizarre, aberrant, kind of militarized antenna everywhere in the last
Not really, I just see big sticks.
few years. Increasingly, we look at these things and think, oh, wow, it must be national security, it must be the NS, must be... Well, we shouldn't even be thinking that. We, as natural born...
I think this guy fancies himself as a bit of a Tarzan or something.
Men and women of the living soil should be demanding to know what is that godly...
It's mobile phone masts, mate. See, all the see, the billions of these in the world, they rely on mobile phone masts. Isn't that hard? Stop playing Tarzan for half an hour and figure this shit out.
This looking piece of technology in the farm, on the side of the street, outside my school, my office, my home.
He's still in school? Well, he's getting any hairs in his chest, so...
With me, Sasha Stone. He established Humanitad 1999.
It's almost like Humanitad. Anyway, I can see the comedy in it. It's very mirroring retard, I think.
And founded New Earth Project. It's a self-determined community about sustainability and sovereignty over your life, your energy that's on this planet.
Your vibrations that David Icke wants you to manifest into real money in his pocket.
Also, documentary filmmaker, and this is why we're here today talking about 5G.
5G apocalypse, the extinction, Invisible Masters Conference, London. Was that would that be the one that I played the other week there? Anyway,
so many of you heard about it. I was really unaware of what was going on with.
Bing! So it's all this little wee cabal, right? Now, I want to keep hitting home this point. 5 eyes, 5G. Right, and just consider who the Five Eyes are, where they came out of. I mean, just do simple Google searches and consider that they're the people that are making I'm saying it's the military industrial complex intelligence wing, the Five Eyes. And if that is linked into the British military industrial complex, then there's wee Garish. Oh, there's where's wee Garish? There's wee Garish there. Right, who else have we got? Is the GCHQ guy there? No, he's not. He stays in the Netherlands like Casper the Ghost, but he's not there. None of these people are independent journalists. They're part of a network pretending to be independent journalists. Anyway, that's what I can see now. Let's have a wee listen to this. Now, as you can see, this is on the UK Comms website.
Paper called the Yellow Hammer, which tells us all the dreadful things which will happen if we do go no-go. Now, my secretary has got an alternative list which I have compiled called the Black Vulture, which is my list of the things which they don't know about, which will happen if we don't go no deal. And the first of those is the hazard it creates for the Crown. But the second, will somebody please tell us the truth about the European Defence Union? This is by far the biggest issue facing the British public, and they know nothing about it officially. Can we please have a proper account of what it entails? Is it really true that the government has entered into private agreements with the European community, that they will, on completion of Remain, or...
Now, go and check out who this guy is. I don't know if you know the building he's sitting in. It's the House of Lords. And listen to that, and then listen to a few of the most recent episodes of the UK column, and tell me they aren't on the exact same hymn sheet. And then, hold on. Was it Lord Pearson that was giving Tommy Robinson a tour around the House of Lords and stuff? Anyway, I digress. It's very interesting into the shit he goes into here. And listen closely and you'll hear him talking about the Five Eyes.
Whatever it is to be, transfer to the European Union in Brussels the entire control of our entire fighting forces, including all their equipment. You may jest, my lords, but it has been done and you must check it out. It is too important to ignore. We must know the truth of this. We must have it clear for the whole public to know. I believe it is true, and I think we should be told. I have understanding that it is intended that the oath of every serving member of our forces will be cancelled, and they will be required to undertake a new oath of loyalty to Brussels, and that we have had, in recent months, I understand, a series of people sent from our armed forces to create and install the command and control centres to be used for the control of our troops once we have been ceased to have any control over their use, application or deployment. It goes beyond this. They are to take control of our intelligence services, the whole core of the Five Eyes. They will have MI6 and they will have the Cheltenham Monitoring Centre. And we will be excluded from it under the new arrangements completely and have no access either to its product or reports. I beg your pardon? Order.
So these are the wee bits of the piece of the puzzle that give me the picture I see. Whether it's really what's going on, this is just the best I can do with the bullcrap I've got to decipher this crap. So he's talking about the genuine plan, or the I don't know, how the fuck am I meant to know? There's lords sitting in that chamber, doesn't he have a clue? Right, I'm doing my best, but the Five Eyes, which is Britain, America, Canada, New Zealand and Australia, collaborating, spying on each other's citizens, basically gathering intelligence, because they can't do it in their own country, and then sharing all this. So it's like a big intelligence clique. It came out of the end of World War II, when they created a wee network. Now, the Five Eyes don't want 5G. Why? Because Huawei is leaps and bounds in the technology, and they've pretty much got it all ready to roll to get Huawei's infrastructure put in anywhere in the West that wants 5G. The Five Eyes want to stop this. As you'll see in here, there's quite a lot of stuff going on in China right now with Hong Kong and stuff. We'll have a wee shifty at that. So hopefully I'm explaining that properly, or you get what I'm talking about. So this is AMTV. This one's been removed. I don't know what he's doing, if he's just putting the same sales video. Oh shit, what one did I do there? Oh god, I fucked that up. Marines active all across the country. Emergency, this is an attack.
That walked in that was crying hysterically at the time.
Now, this is I don't know. Emergency, last chance to join it. What the hell is he fucking punting? I think it's Bitcoin pish. I don't know what. I've not even got the will to find out what scam he's pulling now. But as you may or may not see, this probably proved me to be a liar. It's live, but what's happening is he's just playing on a loop. And the small bits I listen to, he's trying to sell you financial products. He's punting you shit. Nothing to do with Marines active all across the country. Of course there's active Marines all over across the fucking country. What's the emergency about that?
Right, got a problem, got a headache, take some Prozac. Feeling a little down today? They're just going to pop another pill. Is your blood pressure a little bit up? Here's a pill. They'll never tell you to exercise. They'll never tell you to take a natural remedy. They'll never tell you to pray or seek God or do something that's good for you. They'll just give you a pill. So I guarantee this lady, I'm just guessing, was probably off her meds for the day as well. Of course, she's being dumbed down by the radical, lamestream, criminal CNNs of the world. These news networks weaponizing these ideas. And here's the beauty of it, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like, let's be honest, for example, how many of you tuning in, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, a lot of you are very, very educated, even know what a Kurd is? Like, honestly. Do you even know who the Kurds are?
I couldn't even understand what he was saying. Kinda understand what the Kurds
Republicans complaining right now don't even know what a Kurd is. Kurds? What's that?
Something to do with lemon curd. I'm sure it's something. I love fucking lemon curd, man.
American population and the dumbing down of pretty much every.
They've been screwed over time and time and time by America since the 1950s.
In or residing in Turkey who are of Kurdish origin. The Kurds are the largest ethnic minority in Turkey. According to various estimates, they compose between 15 and 20% of the population. These are Kurds. There are Kurds living in various provinces of Turkey, but they are primarily concentrated in the east and the southeast of the country within the region, viewed by Kurds as Turkish Kurdistan. Massacres such as ethnocide and other massacres have periodically occurred against the Kurds since the establishment of the Republic of Turkey in 1923. Now, you can look into this yourself. You can study about this ancient history, and I encourage you to do. And I'm not discounting any of the tragedy, any of the genocides, any of the persecutions of Christians.
I just want to sell you Bitcoin, man.
Doesn't really exist.
Well, I can't. Why is that? I don't know why this isn't working, right? Usually there's a bit that says this stream started however long ago, which I can't see. And for some reason it's not even, do you know what I mean, showing me digits on the wee bar. Anyway, earlier on I was in and it was the same thing, just playing on a loop, and it had been on for like something like 14 hours solid. Now, I don't think the guy's doing a marathon. I think he's got this video or a wee clip just playing on a loop. Anyway, and it looked like sales shit to me earlier on, but Adam Green. Anywho's, oh. This guy is fallen. No more Jews news.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Green here with NoMoreNews.org. It's September 16th, 2019, and today joining me a very special guest known as the Renegade, the Dot.
That's his names that he's gave himself. Most people know him as like Lizard Shit Man. That Fruit Loop with the fucking shell suit. Is that no that guy that thought he was Jesus? I call him Kaiser Soze. But he's known as many things. Not just Renegade.
Connector.
I'm known as Big Dong. Yeah, I can do that too. Give myself fucking names.
Undoubtedly one of the biggest names and legends in alternative media, Mr. David Icke himself. Welcome, David. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Adam. Real pleasure. You do some great work.
Thank you so much. That's a huge honor to hear that.
He's a Kaiser Soze shapeshifting guy now. He actually does look like he's shapeshifting into a lizard.
Your brand new, excellent book, The Trigger, The Lie That Changed the World, Who Really Did It, and Why. I just finished a few days ago, despite having an advance copy. It's a huge book, and I say one of the most important books ever written. I hope everybody runs out and gets it and shares the information with everyone they know. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about why you wrote the book and what people can expect to get out of it?
Well, I remember on September the 11th, 2001, being out walking in England, and someone told me what had happened. And immediately, obviously, I was away to see the news, to look at the detail. And immediately it struck me that there was something big time not right about this. And by then I'd understood the major...
Can you see him shapeshifting now? That's him actually shapeshifting McPC.
Immediately, obviously, I was away to see the news. To
watch this.
Look at the detail. And immediately...
David Icke exposed as a real-life shape-shifting lizard whose mechanical suit broke here. That's what's happening with DC. He's no human being could just sit and... Do you hear the words? So the lizard inside his human exoskeleton is still talking, but the exoskeleton human suit that the lizards wear, the mouth is broke.
Immediately, it struck me that there was something big time.
Adam Green's moving. David Icke isn't. Boom! Proof, evidence that David Icke actually really is a shape-shifting lizard with a mechanical exoskeleton suit himself.
I'm not right about this.
And I think if you look close enough in his eyes, you'll see the lizard eyes. Just look into his eyes. You can get a good shot of it now because it's all frozen up.
And by then, I'd understood
definitely a lizard.
Major technique that is used to manipulate people to accept vast.
Oh, they see Adam Green. You could actually hear Adam Green like that in the background trying to fix his fucking his suit now and sending him secret messages like that. Your suit's broke, man. You're going to blow your cover. And that's about as convincing as I remember the early days of the watching shapeshifting videos. Basically, the trick they play. Watch bits of film that have digital errors. That's my technical way of explaining it. And then using the power of suggestion to make people think there's shapeshifting lizards out there. Anyway. No More Jews is still out there. Somebody pointed me in the direction of this channel ages ago. They thought it was they've seen it come up. Right, now the guy bounces around with an anonymous mask. He's got a lovely yellow and red warning signs. See if I can find a video. Right, now if you were some sort of a like social network marketing genius, you could set up channels and within X amount of time maybe get about 50,000 subs. Maybe real, maybe not. Jack the algos to get your shit out there a wee bit more. So let's see what the modern day incarnation of the anonymous characters are doing. And the Demon Rat Donkey Derby. Here's a full show. Oh, so this guy claims to... Oh, so is he a QAnon guy? That's why you're getting this stupid ass warning down here. Right, so... And if you go... this is just what I look at, you know. What I want to look at. This is what I look at, and I can't look at it. Now, maybe the guy's got the best channel in the world ever, and that's why he's got all these 50,000 subs. But for less than a year old, to be able to jack the algos like that, and then when you go and see the content they're putting out, you know. Right, oh, they're lying to you. Now, look how cool this is and all that. You know, back in the day, everybody wanted to be an anonymous.
Italian officials, in order to gather.
So quite literally, this guy could be anybody. So, and then go and look at the material he puts out in the political slant. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Let's get to China. Keep some of these things up. Get rid of his bullcrap. There you go. Now let's do some of the China stuff. Actually, I find this stuff fascinating and interesting.
Meanwhile, a story that is getting a lot of news on the internet and even here on the Fox News channel. Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morley, a couple of days ago, tweeted out support for the protests in Hong Kong. He said, fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. Okay, that seems pretty innocuous given what's going on in the world, but not to the Chinese.
No.
It's a free country, but yeah, go ahead.
The Chinese, they're going to stop airing the NBA games now, the preseason games, in response to that. They're furious about it.
Yeah, they are, because they're not a free country and they control every aspect of that. They control media, they control the economy, they control... No criticism allowed against the communist Chinese. The question was, how would the NBA react? I mean, we saw them, the owner himself, or the GM of the Rockets, pulled down the tweet, put out an apology about it, tried to lessen the blowback. Well, Adam Silver, NBA commissioner, came out overnight in recent response and had this to say about the GM of the Rockets and freedom of speech. Listen.
The long-held values of the NBA are to support freedom of expression, and certainly freedom of expression by members of the NBA community. And in this case, Daryl Morey, as the general manager of the Houston Rockets, enjoys that right as one of our employees. We are not willing to compromise those values. And I I'm sympathetic to our interests here and to our partners who are upset.
I'm sure they're losing a lot of money, but I was proud of him for supporting him, the GM of the Rockets.
So the trade war, the currency war, Trump going after the Chiners, it's got many different facets. And I think it's worthwhile familiarising yourself with the history in and around the British takeover of Hong Kong, the Opium Wars, the signing of the 99-year lease, which then gets technically got Hong Kong handed back to the Chiners in 97, I believe. And think if there's any way to maybe Britain not being so happy-go-lucky about handing back Hong Kong and maybe trying to use soft power inside Hong Kong to maintain some form of power, control, influence. That's what I believe. Anyway, cause Trump. Oh God, where's my Trump soundboard went to? Oh, he's just loading. What the fuck, Trump? You're usually quicker than that, man. China. God. This is the wrong one.
Care. I don't care.
Oh, you sound a bit.
Today, you're going to pay for the wall.
Nope.
I thought it was terrific. We all need to laugh. Nice, and the bed was good. He's a nasty person.
Oh, God. No, wrong one. Where's my other one? I must have lost my Donald Trump.
It's real!
Oh, there's my Alex Jones. Oh, I think I've found Donald Trump.
When was the last time anybody saw us beating, let's say, China?
So I'm not saying it's good or bad or what side to be on. I'm just trying to point out what I believe is actually behind what's going on in Hong Kong. It's not about the Hong Kongers fighting for freedom from the communists. It's about struggle for power in that area of land. And I believe that Britain is ball deep in that struggle just because of the history of the area. Who built that fucking area into what it is? Not me, the Brits. Anyway.
China is...
It's Putin!
What we're going to be discussing in this video, particularly how information is key. It is power. It sets actions and also determines them, and the Chinese government knows that very well. And that's why there's such a big information war happening right now. But here in the United States, I do believe we are getting only one side of the story, since we do forget that, the United States also bans other foreign corporations from doing business here. We're going to get into that, plus a lot more in this video, which of course our discussion will also focus on Hong Kong, the NBA, and of course also South Park. This plus a lot more by an independent media organization supported not by any state, large corporation that censors information, but of course you,
the Truther Industrial Complex.
Viewer. See, that's why we don't censor or shill for any particular side, and only because of
We don't
you
beat
deciding
China
to get
in
involved,
trade.
you supporting independent media on Subscribe Star. Maybe go check it out. So obviously, there's the developing situation surrounding China, its social credit score, its surveillance states, its censorship, and of course also the larger kind of trade war that is ensuing between the number one hegemony on the world market today versus an up-and-coming competitor, which of course is China. And already with this unfolding to Sidious trap, we already see an economic war already at play here that is important context to understand the latest current events that are unfolding, because historically speaking, when a great power is threatened to be displaced by another up-and-coming power, war usually is the result. That's that.
Woohoo! Whoa, what is it good for?
A pro-democracy legislator in in a city on the brink of totalitarianism. Is there hope left for Hong Kong's liberty?
You remember 2, 3, 4 years ago, nothing, Hong Kong would just never be on the news. It's not a player in the geopolitical game. But then Trump came in charge and clearly going after China.
Welcome back to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. Joining me today is Hong Kong attorney and activist Tanya Chan. She is a member of Hong Kong's Legislative Council. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Chris.
These protests have gone on for over 100 days. Police have said they might have to shoot a protester. And then on October 1st, they shot a protester, point blank in the chest. How has that changed the situation?
We have more bulletproof vests now. And one less protester.
First of all, I do believe that a lot of Hong Kong people found that the brutality and the use of force has escalated since the 1st of October. And especially, we have seen a lot of different occasions that our police seems to have lost their control, and they acted in a very aggressive way. And not only to the protesters, but also to the first aiders, the reporters, the journalists, as well as the bystanders. So I think this is a very dangerous situation that our supposed to be professional team of laws enforcement team now acted in such a way. And I...
Now, I'm not saying that I'm a fan of the Chinese regime. I'm just saying I understand that this shite is all part of the information war, if you want to call it that, to persuade you who's the good guys, who's the bad, what they're fighting for. And if you not noticed, little Avi Remini or Rennies or something, what is his name? Avi Menemy? I don't even know. The Australian Tommy Robinson, he's now trying to co-opt that cause. Anyway.
Time now for another episode of How Is This a Thing? This first article is from the Daily Mail.
More Chinese stuff.
Chinese citizens must pass a facial recognition test to use the internet as part of Beijing's social credit system. Well, this was always inevitable.
Whereas over in the West, if you want a Facebook account, you might have to give driver's license, passport, so on and so forth. No difference. Slight difference, but same principle. It's building up a database of people that you can confirm they are who they claim to be. That's what Facebook has been doing. But Facebook's just for looking at faces, and it's not a big massive data collection thing. This China just goes balls out and goes like that. Right, bitches, line up, we're taking your pictures. You know, here we get given Facebook. They'll at least get told that they're getting fucking bagged and tagged.
Creation of a technocratic dystopia powered by surveillance systems. If you're not in this Black Mirror system and your social credit score isn't at a certain acceptable level, you can't get access to a whole host of services. That includes public transport, education, and many other things. Now, you won't be able to access the web, and considering the internet is ubiquitous in people's lives these days, from finding a job to paying bills or communicating with friends and family, it makes
watching porn,
day living extremely difficult, and of course, that's the point. Citizens in China must have their faces scanned to have the internet installed. The rule is part of China's social credit system and will take effect on December 1st. Authorities claimed the move would help improve the nation's internet security. China has been building the world's most powerful facial recognition system. The nation is due to be equipped with 626 million CCTV cameras by 2020.
That's only 3 more than the whole of the UK. The UK is the most surveilled nation on earth. And then you have to take those Daily Mail stories seriously, as if like that's what it's all about.
China sounds more like Libria from the film Equilibrium. Absolute totalitarian police state hell on earth. Huge government control.
It was a film, mate. It wasn't real. It was a made-up story, fairy tale.
Control over the lives of the citizens. And because a kind of social credit system is gradually creeping into the West through corporations censoring people for wrong.
So here's this guy all of a sudden talking about all the bad news about China. There's Avi Yemeni over in Australia now gravitating to the Hong Kong protest, the China stuff. The Five Eyes have openly said they're actively working to stop Huawei and the Chinese getting their infrastructure over here. I don't know. I don't know if you can see the correlation. I can, but maybe you can. Right, where was little ginger bollocks?
Think I'd advise you to take a good long look at China, because it could very well be our future in a decade or so. China has stepped up its internet censorship by demanding its citizens pass a facial recognition test to be able to use web services. People who want to have the internet installed at home or on their phones must have their faces scanned by the Chinese authority to prove their identities, according to a new regulation.
Well, it's almost like having to prove your age if you go into an off license.
The rule, which will take effect on December 1st, is said to be part of the social credit system which rates the Chinese citizens based on their daily behaviour.
It's said to be part. Anyway, it's a wee bit ropey, this story, isn't it?
Here, I can think of few things more terrifying, actually, and you can see why the people of Hong Kong are fighting so hard to resist the gradual takeover of their territory by China. At present,
their territory by China? Hong Kong is fucking China! Somebody might go and look in a fucking map. Stop playing all these semantics. Anyway.
Chinese citizen will need to show his or her ID card while applying for a landline or the internet. The facial recognition test is set to verify that the ID card belongs to the applicant. The directive was issued by the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology.
Well, it kind of half makes sense, you know what I mean? I don't agree with it, it's not what you want. It's the way things are heading.
Technology late last month. The ministry claimed the move would help improve the country's internet security and combat terrorism. Yeah, and I'm sure this has nothing to do with combating free speech and political dissent. China has been building the world's largest facial recognition surveillance system. The Big Brother-style scheme is powered by hundreds of millions of AI street cameras aiming to identify any of the country's citizens within 3 seconds.
Glasgow's already got that. Yeah, some Israeli mob that put the super duper smart cameras in Glasgow city centre. Guy wasn't wetting his knickers about that shit.
Meanwhile, people in Hong Kong are
What the fuck? What the fuck is that? That's the freakiest looking fucking thing I've ever seen. Is that a real frog?
Applying Pepe the Frog face paint in order to avoid the facial recognition cameras because they're not allowed to wear masks.
Fuck's sake, so they've got the Pepe, they've rolled out the Pepe Le Pew frog to the Hong Kongers. Can you see who's coming up with this shite yet?
Think about this for a second. If there's a law that says you have to have your face scanned, or else, it sounds like you're basically living in a place where the government considers you to be their property.
They didn't say you need to have your face scanned or else. I think it was if you're going to get a fucking telephone line or an internet connection, they want to make sure the face fucking matches the ID or something.
The country's 1.4 billion population are set to be carefully watched by 626 million CCTV monitors, many having facial recognition functions, as early as next year, a recent study revealed.
Oh God. I mean, imagine spying in your own citizens. So, it's not that I'm a fan of any of this shit or anything. It's about fucking pointing out the hypocrisies in people's reading of the news with blinkers on to paint a particular narrative. So what's happening now is it's beat on China because of what's happening over in Hong Kong. And all the usual talking heads are doing what they're told. How is that a thing?
One tweet is putting at risk the NBA's multi-billion-dollar opportunity in China, while upsetting basketball fans at home and abroad. It was sparked when Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted his support for Hong Kong protesters. The NBA
Basketball has been weaponized, folks. There's been proof evidence. Basketball is a WMD.
It ain't easy being green, or a Hong Kong protester. It's a match made in, well, it doesn't exactly look like heaven. Pepe the Frog, a Nazi symbol of alt-right hate, or an internet troll gone too far. In America, Pepe is a polarizing frog, but in Hong Kong,
he's a cute, cuddly little thing that we're all using as our mascot.
Pepe means something completely different. It's a symbol of
He's not a Nazi in Hong Kong. The Hong Kongers know what Nazis. I don't. I'm
fighting for
confused.
freedom against totalitarianism.
I wonder how they started coming up with the idea to use a silly little green frog. It's not as if they already had all the merch, all the memes. Anyway.
That's at least how Hong Kong protesters are using Pepe. Far from supporting Nazis, they're using it in their fight against what they're calling Chi-Nazis, the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, that's a good one. Chi-Nazis. That's what you call China when you're trying to call them Nazis, but they were National Socialists, not Communist. But I don't even know if China still is Communist. Hard to figure out. So complicated.
On September 30th, Hong Kong protesters took a break from the tear gas with a peaceful demonstration called Pepe's Way. Hong Kong protesters love Pepe. They see him as one of them.
Fight for freedom!
A Nazi?
Obviously, this
So
was
weird, isn't
before
it?
the Hong Kong government outlawed masks. Pepe's Way is a human chain, well, human and frog chain, stretching for more than 2 miles.
What does Pepe the Frog mean to you?
This means the unity with Hong Kong, all the people.
I'm pretty sure he's fucking Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If he's not Shredder, he's something very close.
We unite together to fight for freedom. This is a very symbolic characters for Hong Kong people, the democracy protest in these years.
So what does Pepe mean to you?
Liberty, the courage to speak. You stand against the oppression, then you're being the true Hong Kong local in here.
Pepe's Way is a reference to the Baltic Way.
100-day protest. I don't think that's going away anytime soon. But let's move onwards and upwards. Something. Oh, there. A wee bit. Remember the war in Syria? Remember Syrian girl partisan?
Hi everyone.
Hi, Syrian girl.
How are you?
I'm not bad. How are you, hen?
I'm sorry if you've had to wait.
You're worth waiting for.
I'm very new to this live streaming stuff, so there's been a bit of a learning curve.
See, I'm in her head.
So sorry to Timur and another guy who said it's
I
very
can
late
do
over
live
there.
streaming, no problem, hen. If you want a hand, you just give
Do you
me a
guys
wee shout. Always worthwhile. checking in
Ankara
with Syrian girl.
considers the Kurdish forces in this area to be a terrorist organization. Why?
Well, there has been historically a link between the YPG, which is the main Kurdish element of the Syrian Democratic Forces that you referred to in that report.
Get your head round some of these apples, man. Try and figure out who's who and why who's fighting with who.
YPG is very closely related to the PKK, or at least was.
Now we're not so sure. A wee bit of grey area. At one point they were, now they weren't. Don't know. And out, shake it all about. You do the hokey cokey and turn around. That's what propaganda's all about. Huh.
Very closely related to the PKK, with which Turkey has been effectively in conflict over the last 3.5 decades. That is the essential background to it. The big question now, though, is what has been the role of Kurdish forces within the SDF over the last couple of years or so. Attempts by Ankara to persuade the United States and others that it is still a terrorist organization, still operating as part of the PKK, have fallen on deaf ears in Washington and most of the capitals of the European Union. And for very good reason, because at least over the last period, there has been extremely little evidence.
Not that there isn't any evidence, just a little amount. They've only been caught doing this shit a wee few times. And nobody in our group is listening.
That as part of the SDF, the Kurds have been launching attacks into Turkey or providing weapons for the PKK in Turkey or providing any other assistance to the PKK in Turkey, in the very obvious knowledge that if they started doing that, their position, their strength, the strength of their relations with Washington and other European capitals will be undermined. It has been in their very strong interest to try and keep that as clean as possible. But that's not the real issue, I think, for the Turks.
Choking on his own bullshit.
A reason. Whether it's invented or not. They've been determined to go ahead with this plan for some considerable time, well before the most recent talks with Washington. Last year, they seemed to have persuaded Donald Trump, last December, to let them go ahead with the operation. That backfired. It's been back on the agenda again for the last few months. They've been putting more and more pressure on the United States, despite the fact that US troops have been operating together with the SDF in that corridor, ensuring that it's a pretty neutral zone, no real security threat to Turkey, at least over the last period. So it's pretty clear, I would say, that the motivation behind this
pretty clear. Are you sure? Are you sure? I don't think you've explained it that well.
Operation are not really to do with security, at least not immediate security.
Rob, a bigger question here is we heard from our correspondent Jasper Mortimer in Ankara saying that the Turkish troops had been amassed on the border, 5,000 to 10,000 of them. Kurdish forces, for their part, saying that they will defend themselves. They'll do everything in their power to do so. Will they be able to take on the Turkish forces?
I think it really depends on, first of all, what the Turks want to do. If they're determined to establish a corridor perhaps 300 kilometres long and 32 kilometres deep, as has been suggested.
Is that guy photobombing in the background?
Then that would certainly bring them into strong conflict with the SDF and Kurdish forces. If, however, bearing in mind the threats that they've had from Donald Trump to obliterate the Turkish economy, if they go off limits, and they decide to launch a much more limited operation than that, and there's been some suggestion that it'll be between the towns of Tal Abyad and Ras Al Ain, about 100 kilometres long, and maybe not much more than 10 kilometres deep, in an area which is not predominantly populated by Kurds but by Arabs, then the possibility is that the operation will be successful without any serious conflict with the Kurds. That really is the big question at the moment. And from the Kurdish perspective, I think, if this turns into a major conflict with the Turks, the big question will be, will Turkey have control of the air? Judging by what's been happening today, there have been strikes on Ras Al Ain, by one account at least. So it does suggest that although the Americans have said they will not cooperate with the Turks in control of the airspace, that the Turks are going to push ahead and try to establish an air presence there in any case. Will the Russians allow the Turks to have that control? Because if you remember last year, when the Turks launched their operation in Afrin, further to the west in northern Syria, the Russians gave effectively Turks control of that airspace. And that was absolutely critical in the military fight against the Kurds in and around Afrin. The Kurds were forced out, 300,000 refugees as a consequence. Much will depend on airspace control.
And Rob, this is something that you alluded to.
Got it? Yeah. Who's fighting who?
It's not taken long for the Turkish military to begin their troop deployment. Through the day, tanks have been moving south along the road to the Syrian border. Soldiers have been moved to the border towns in fleets of coaches. Other equipment too. And just 36 hours since the US president stepped aside militarily, diplomatically and controversially, giving space for his ally Turkey to attack his other ally, the Kurds. Artillery is in place at strategic locations along the border, sights set on the Kurdish positions on the other side. For Turkey, the enemy over there are terrorists they've wanted to destroy for decades. But they are the same people who have been fighting the Islamic State alongside the Americans and the British. And over the border in the Syrian town of Kamishli, they reminded the world of that. Wounded Kurdish fighters marched carrying posters of their dead comrades. Past the UN offices, their call was for the international community to stop the Turkish incursion. It was a blunt message for Donald Trump too. We fought alongside you, we've almost defeated ISIS, don't abandon us. And yet in Ankara, the Turkish vice president framed the incursion as humanitarian in part.
It's always humanitarian when you're out there shooting people. Always. So that's what's happening. A wee touch of what's happening inside Syria.
Say Iran, and what comes to mind? Ayatollahs, crowds chanting death to America, death to Britain, missiles, hostages, terrorism. Let's face it, that is the country's image in the West. But it's a huge complex place with connections everywhere. There's a lot more to Iran than that. How big a threat is it? And how much is our view down to propaganda? How dangerous is Iran really? To answer that question, we have to ask another. How dangerous do they think we are? They call Britain Little Satan and America Great Satan, and to some extent you can see why. Their history is one long sorry tale of Western interference. We repeatedly carved up their territory. The British tried to take over their oil, the CIA and Britain toppled one of their elected leaders and supported Iraq in the war in the 80s that killed millions. So it shouldn't be all that surprising if Iranians don't trust us much and fear the West.
Aye, why wouldn't they trust us? We helped kill millions of them in the 80s. It's alright in the 80s, wasn't it?
West is looking for regime change.
The objectives of the regime are not going to change, and therefore the only solution is to change the regime itself.
If the leadership of Iran behaves badly, then it's going to be a very, very bad day for them.
Iran is an authoritarian, theocratic state. That means it's run by religious people under religious laws.
Oh, hold on a sec, right, so who's the head of our state? Let me just get this right. Oh, the Queen. Well, she's not a religious extreme. She's a fucking Pope. The Queen's a fucking Pope. She's our head of state. But who cares?
Accept that and you can live your life, and in some ways it looks like anywhere else. But if you don't agree with the rules, it can be very dangerous indeed. Dissenters who openly criticise the way Iran is run are in danger of arrest, torture, disappearing in jail. So are women who don't like the religious rule they have to wear a headscarf. Many have been rounded up and not seen since for protesting against the rule. And LGBT people are in grave danger too. Gay sex is illegal and punishable by death.
Like some states in America still. I believe I'm right in saying that. Right? Context and trying not being hypocritical. Anyway, so I thought it was interesting to throw Iran in there.
President Trump on yet another Twitter tear, slamming everyone and everything surrounding the impeachment inquiry, the Bidens, the whistleblower, Chairman Adam Schiff, and adding to his long list of lies and false claims about all of these subjects. CNN's Daniel Dale fact-checks President Trump for a living. That's his actual job, and he joins me now. Daniel, President Trump tweeted, quote, the first so-called
What'd you do for a living?
second-hand
A
information
fact-check
whistleblower
Trump.
got my phone conversation almost completely wrong. So now word is they are going to the bench, and another, quote, whistleblower is coming in from the deep state, also with second-hand info. Wow, there's a lot to unpack in that. But let's just start with the idea. Is the whistleblower claim completely wrong, as the president says?
Not at all, Jake. The whistleblower had a 3-bullet point list about this call, and all 3 of those bullet points were effectively corroborated by the transcript, or the rough transcript, released by the White House itself. So let's go through all 3. Number 1 was that Trump pushed Ukraine's president to investigate the Bidens. Correct.
True, yes.
Trump pushed the president of Ukraine to investigate this debunked Ukraine server conspiracy theory. Correct.
True,
Number 3 was Trump pushed Zelensky to speak to his own lawyer, Giuliani, and the Attorney General Barr. That's correct as well. Now, the one caveat, Trump seems to take issue.
Well, if it was phony and... anyway. I'm not even going to sit here and argue as if, like, you don't know what it is.
It started out like a typical phone call between two world leaders.
Congratulations on a great victory.
Earlier in the year, Vladimir Zelensky defeated the incumbent to become president of Ukraine, and now his political party had won a majority in parliament.
We all watched from the United States, and you did a terrific job.
I would like to confess to you that I had an opportunity to learn from you. We used quite a few of your skills and knowledge.
But minutes later, this conversation took a turn with a single line from Trump.
I would like you to do us a favor, though.
What Trump said next, according to a rough transcript released by the White House,
according to a rough transcript,
forms the core of the impeachment proceedings against him. It could end his presidency. This 30-minute phone call might become one of the most important moments in American history.
Or it might just be another pile of shite. Who knows? You decide. Thank God almighty. And Tommy Robinson hasn't even came back full time yet, I don't think, innit, not?
I just woke to the most fantastic news that I had to share with you immediately. Most of you have seen...
Why does he always sound like trying to hold a burp in?
Panodrama. It was the documentary by Tommy Robinson that exposed...
Wasn't a documentary.
John Sweeney and the BBC for the absolute scum they are. If you haven't seen it, the link is in the description. The doco was so powerful that...
The doco! Damn dingo! With the swingo with the doco!
Overnight, Tommy's Facebook account with over 1 million followers was shut down in an attempt to quash the story. These idiots thought they could just make it all go away. Until now, it looked like it worked. John Sweeney has been on vacationing in Italy, probably on your dime, full pay, while the BBC was scrambling on how to respond to the overwhelming public backlash. Well, finally, I'm happy to report that John Sweeney has announced he's been sacked and has even acknowledged Tommy's hand in it. Mate, you tried to ruin a man's life, but he turned it back.
Here's the echo chamber.
Good grief. I probably should be going to bed. I'll just wait for some people to come on.
Anyway, you get the idea.
They come here, they set up a stand, they put some...
Now, here's Tommy Robinson's Australian boyfriend inserting himself into the Hong Kong debate.
Chinese on it, and they just sneaked their message in there. But we caught them.
Oh, what did you catch them doing?
What group are you guys from?
Oh, look, you've really caught them.
What group are you from? Socialist Action. Are you guys standing for Hong Kong? This is one of those confusing moments again. Are you guys calling for communism in Hong Kong? Are you calling for communism in socialism in Hong Kong? Is that what you're? No. What are they calling for?
Oh, I just got here. I'm not even sure what they said, but I look at this.
Down with the CCP capitalist dictatorship. Are you guys for real? Are you calling the CCP a capitalist dictatorship?
What does CCP stand for? China's Capitalist Party.
We're here at the Hong Kong rally in Melbourne, and there's a socialist stand here. I'm reading their signs. They don't want to talk to me. I don't know why. But we can agree with that. Punish the brutal police. Spread the Hong Kong revolution in China. That's cool.
But down with the CCP capitalist dictatorship. They're calling the communist government...
Right, okay. There's communist stands all over the place. I'm not saying it go and support them, but fuck's sake, you can go walk by them without having a meltdown. Oh, but here's a lovely wee bit of BNP youth. From McVie the Third.
Fellow British youth, who is responsible for the ongoing attempt to eradicate the British culture and the British identity through the forced assimilation of different cultures and different peoples with our culture and our people, resulting in the bastardisation of the genuine diversity that makes up the rich tapestry of humankind.
Member of the Knights Templar, Jim Dawson's outfit, Nick Griffin. Tommy Robinson's right-hand man. Buckbait. There's Buckbait with Nick Griffin again. It's Nick Griffin, and he just must be a bit fatter there. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, there's Tommy and Lucy and everything. And they'll claim to be independent journalists, not part of the same network. And there's Brian Brownteeth of London. Tommy, all you need to know about the counter-jihad, and everybody thinks Tommy Robinson was sticking up for the British people when he was manipulated with this bunch of morons. Oh, listen to this wee guy, he's brilliant. There's Tommy Robinson at the Beds and Bucks BMP gallery.
About why we're here and my own personal story about how we got here, and obviously a bit of background to the area. Old Church, we used to have a good BMP branch here a couple of years back. The locals used to know us, we used to get good results in East London. Nationalism always did well in East London. Unfortunately, in recent years, as we all know, nationalism kind of drifted away. The British National Party is finished for all intents and purposes. So when I left the BNP in late 2014, I drifted around for just over a year. You know, nothing really seemed to take my interest, and I thought I'm not really achieving anything as a standalone individual. So I thought there's only one other party out there at the time. The BNP was still in its final stages of collapsing. The NF was then again rising up, and that's when I decided to join the NF. So I joined the NF, I attended several demonstrations, of course, several events on behalf of the NF, and I've given a whole bunch of speeches for that, of course, and I've also stood for election for the NF. Now, the intention is, just to keep it simple, what's the aim of the game is really to overtake what the remnants of the BNP, to put it simply, who are all but destroyed, to become another serious political fighting force in the UK. The National Front is the only whites-only party in the UK. The other parties, of course, as we all know, are not interested in Britain's only. So really, that's my intention here. We need to get people to come back on board. There are a lot of fragmented groups, a lot of fragmented people, a lot of ex-members waiting for something to come back, and that's what we need to do, really. We just need to get them all back in under one banner. If people want to do street protests and such, that's fine, that's okay. But as long as when the election time comes around, we can all be singing from the same hymn sheet, and once again we can have a big movement like we had before. To have a movement, really, you've got to have a political party leading the way for the movement. And the movement needs to be led by the National Front. The National Front is the movement, and the National Front must become...
And you always hear Danny Tomo and all the people who... Tommy Robinson's entourage talking about our movement, this movement, our movement, this movement. Straight out of BNP youths' mouths.
This is not a request. This is
not a request.
We are sick of the previous generation's cowardly actions. We will not give in and we will not back down.
We are BNP Youth,
They've got a certain look about them, haven't they? Anyway, thought that was an interesting one to play.
So, I am on my way to the north of England to report on some very serious issues that you guys definitely need to hear about. After last night, I'm not going to let that deter me from doing what's required. So yeah, I'm back on the road. Feel good. I feel good. I'm back on the road, back doing what I love, and I'm going to be heading up to the north of England to I'm not going to say too much, but an event that will help with the preventions of grooming, educating parents on the preventions, and to basically help parents understand the telltale signs, because that's what it comes down to.
We're hanging around Asian chicken shops.
So it's really, really important. But yeah, back on the road, and I'm going to do a live stream later on this evening, just in regards to yesterday. I want to clear a few things up, and yeah, it wasn't good, and I want to make sure that everyone understands the severity of everything, because the video I put out last night was very raw. It just happened. So yeah, I'll speak to you all tonight, and
don't get stabbed, Danny. Don't get stabbed.
So we are live in Manchester at the Tory Party conference with Charlie Veach. I said it wrong. Veach, not Zeech. Now, after you when did you interview me? When was it? February? Something like that. Yeah, you lost 2,500 subscribers because you interviewed me. Here's the thing. I'll tell you the timeline. Like, I watch the news. As you know, I like my street agitation. I like to wind up crowds. I like to cause a public. You like to troll like me. To troll exactly like you. So I was watching you. You got a lot more publicity than I ever did. Daily Mail, BBC, RT. Front page Daily Mail. Exactly. So you're there outside Westminster, like I used to back in the good old days, harassing and trolling and annoying our elected officials, which is what every citizen should always be doing. Of course. I was like, there's a man after my own heart. Now, you'll back me up, I was just walking past and I said, oh shit, James Goddard. And then I ended up saying, I'm Charlie Veach, I've got a YouTube channel. The reason I wanted to speak to James was that I was there filming whatever, and he was getting called a Nazi, Hitler, like you're gonna gas the Jews. Apparently I'm far right. Apparently I'm a racist, fascist, white nationalist. And it's silly. It is silly. Like, you were there, I saw black people with your group, I saw Asian people with your group, so it's madness, Anyway, I hate to see anyone that I enjoy watching online and on the news and in the newspapers.
Black people and brown people can be fascist dumb bastards too. Just saying.
Get that level of abuse. So I thought, hey, let's have an interview. And for interviewing James, just by literally standing close to him and not calling him a Nazi, I lost 2,500 subscribers. 2,500 subscribers for simply interviewing me. Now, the last time I checked, I'm not racist. Like, I would class myself as a right-wing activist. Right-wing, nothing far right, nothing centre-right, just a plain simple right-wing activist that believes in democracy and that believes in Brexit. But we know that the opposition, especially in Manchester, they don't want people like us to have a voice. So, Charlie, what's happening at 5 o'clock today? Well, from what I can see, the police are creating 2 designated protest areas.
Robinson there with the Adolf Hitler Appreciation Society in Bavaria. Now, if I was still at the BBC, I'd have to weigh my words very carefully.
This is the...
I'll just finish on the fact that it's been a pleasure to come here tonight. German people for too long have lived in the guilt of Adolf Hitler. Do not live in the guilt of Angela Merkel. She will... Angela Merkel will be remembered in history as a female lady who has destroyed the future of Europe. I want you to know is that throughout our history, German citizens must understand that British citizens are with you. We stand with you, we will fight with you, and we will defend Europe with you. But who?
Applause now.
the future, if you see what the media are doing, I come here twice and I've done 2 videos with your media, your mainstream media, who I've been outside tonight and tried to interview. They're not here to report the facts, the truth, or to act as journalists. They are here to slander you, to attack you and to demonise you. And we see this across Europe. The trust in media is bottomed out. And the people, there's a battle going on and a struggle going on. From the globalist agenda and the governments and the media against the normal, genuine citizens of our countries. And the future belongs to us. So thank you very much. I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be here. Look, it's an honour to become your friend.
Tommy hat gerade ganz kurz auf eine wirklich ganz einfache Weise erklärt, dass wir wirklich aufpassen müssen, was die Presse macht und dass die Presse wirklich uns da mies macht, dass sie uns runterfährt.
And this is what John Sweeney's then referring to.
In Bavaria. Robinson there with the Adolf Hitler Appreciation Society in Bavaria. Now, if I was still at the BBC, I'd have to weigh my words very carefully about what I think about that evidence, but I've left. So, Tommy Robinson, I was wrong to call you a complete cunt the other day. You're a Nazi cunt. That's who you are. These are not the views of the BBC.
You were just watching John Sweeney there. He worked for the BBC for many, many years. He left a few days ago and he's now gone on social media, on new media rather, and he's talking about Tommy Robinson, and he can now come out and tell the world exactly what he thinks of him. And this all relates back to a documentary.
Oh, documentary.
That Tommy Robinson
Come on!
produced, which is called Panodrama, from back in February, March time this year. If you look at that and some of the footage that he gathered of John Sweeney, while John Sweeney was doing an investigative report on Tommy Robinson, is fascinating. And I think that this video probably draws even more attention to what happened back then. So I don't know what you think of it. Panodrama's on YouTube. But I always did think, I was very surprised that when that came out that the BBC kept John Sweeney on. And it's taken 8 months for him to leave. We don't really know why he's left. But my interest is not really in relation to the situation with Tommy Robinson. My interest is in relation to a number of other BBC Panorama programmes. A lot of people know about the recent one on anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. There's a programme called Saving Syria's Children from 2013, which I would recommend you try and look that up. It doesn't exist on YouTube, but there's a lot of research around that one. Why am I mentioning these BBC Panorama programmes? Another one about Westminster paedophile ring in 2015. The reason I'm mentioning these BBC Panorama programmes, these other ones, is because there are some very, very serious questions to ask about the ethics behind the journalism and the agenda of these programmes. And
because they're all politically charged for
Hello.
right-wing agenda. Hello.
So I just wanted to give you a quick update, really.
Thank you, Danny.
On since
you nearly get stabbed
since Newcastle. In the last few days, I've been putting a report together with information I believe that you guys should see, and it's very important that we understand what is going on
in our movement
in terms of the Sikh community, what they're doing to safeguard children, and the preventions they're putting in place.
Oh, so you're finding Indian dudes to tell you how horrible Pakistani dudes are again?
To safeguard and stop these
girls
from being abused and from being targeted and groomed. Now, that report will be coming out this evening. I'm hoping it is informative for you guys. I hope you can understand, that there's certain things that are happening within the Sikh community which are hugely, hugely important to safeguarding not just the Sikh community, but everyone. And I believe that the presentation that I saw needs to be rolled out across the UK in schools, parents' evenings, anything that we can do to try and safeguard our children. I think the Sikh community are the pioneers right now in actually showing the communities how it should be done.
Alright guys, we're here at the Melbourne's Magistrates Court. This is currently where I am fighting for my freedom, and I want to start this video by thanking everybody Every single one of you that
Freedom
have
isn't
already contributed to
free.
my legal
It
front,
take midgets
tell me
like
why.
you and
I'm sure
Tommy.
that I am not jailed for something I haven't done, something I'm not guilty of. So thank you very much, and thanks to all those that are going to contribute. Now, this video, I'm going to give you a quick update. I know that there have been rumors circulating online saying that I wasn't represented and I pleaded guilty. Fake news. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. Don't believe anything about me unless you heard it from me.
He's the only one that tells the truth.
I have this week, my lawyer did represent me. We've had it adjourned till the 6th of November. So next month we're back in court. We're pleading not guilty, absolutely not guilty on all 5 charges. I'll read to you now the 5 charges, but before I do, I want to explain to you, and so you understand. I'm going for not guilty on any of it. And those of you, you're my witnesses. But I will not defend the charges now on camera. I will read to you the charges and what they're alleging, but I won't tell you what my defense is because I'm going to leave it for in there. Because if I do it here, it can be used against us and it can be held, it can be used against us in the case and it can hinder my defense. So I hope you understand. You draw the connections yourself. For those of you that have been around that long, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 5 charges. First charge they've got against me is for stalking. The allegation is that I stalked another candidate by going to the polling booth, the polling stations.
Oh, you were being a little idiot around polling stations and stuff and weren't aware of the a lot of the rules in and around polling stations.
6 meters of the polling booth. Third one is for intimidating a fellow candidate, an opposing candidate within 100 meters of the polling.
Oh, where's the video where this walloper doing this? He must have filmed himself.
Interesting one is using a carriage service to harass a person. You know what that's for? They're alleging that for me live streaming my campaign, I have broken that law. Just think about where we've ever heard that before. For live streaming, they want to put me in jail. The final charge that I am facing here in the Melbourne Magistrates Court on November the 6th is for
That was just one of the 5 charges. They want to put you in jail for 5 things.
assault. The assault is for allegedly holding my phone too close to another person's. You heard it. Guys, again, I'm going to end it here. That is the update that I'm going to give you at this stage, and I want to thank you from the bottom.
Yeah, be very careful you don't fuck up that whole legal argument. I think that's the... Talking about that guy getting jailed the other week, and if you want to go and listen to what he done, you can go and find it out. Oh, this was shared today. The far right Barbies. If it wasn't obvious to some people out there yet, they use a little bit of tit and leg to persuade you on characters. There's been many came and went from the independent journalists internet sphere. But here's just a few. This and Syrian girl, guys, you can't really get much better. Is that Lauren Southern? Alright body, but I think she's a bit... There she's tonguing a hedgehog. Yeah, just convicted of journalism. And they're talking about how more women are getting indoctrinated into the far right groups and stuff because of the sexy looking, jet setting independent journalists that are in the far right. Freedom isn't free. Protect the like you and me. Still Lauren Southern. Now it's ridiculous this anyway, that's apparently a white supremacy sign now. New to me, but who am I to disagree with the Sun? There's little Caroline cheeks. There's Tommy, Lucy, and Jack Buckley. It's went on to Lucy Brown now. Oh, I don't know who that young looking Nazi person is. Oh God, look, she's actually one of Hitler's. Stayed in the Alps with Hitler. But it shows you the pattern. And aye. Oh, there's Brittany Peller, Pretty Boner. And our Generation Identity boyfriend. And if he's on the YouTubes and stuff, you'll be very familiar with all these people going around sucking each other's dicks at each other's rallies. And Tommy Robinson again. There's Generation Identity, I believe that is. Identitarian supporters. Almighty, how many far right bitches is there? Oh, finally got to the end. So, when you're trying to be objective about information, disattach your dick for like 5 minutes.
Ever watch Christian television? What is that all about?
I've watched you sometimes on YouTube.
About lunatics, crazy
it is lunatics and crazy people.
They're jumping off stairs, they're jumping off chairs, they're doing all sorts of nutty stuff. What's it all about? Well,
selling swords, dressing up in cloaks.
I'm going to take you through this book and show you they are all charlatans, fakes and frauds. Join me in the Templar Report.
Join me at the Templar Report.
Hello again, I hope you're keeping well. Jim Dowson here, guest presenter with the Templar Report. Now,
guest almost every day.
I want to speak to you today.
Must be a very welcome guest.
On matters of faith, religion and worship. Now I know that's a wee bit of departure from our usual rambunctious take on world politics, but let's not forget the Templars are first and foremost people of the book. We are a Christian order, militant Christian order, I make no bones about that, but at the end of the day we are a Christian order, and everything we do is for the kingdom, for Christ's glory and for the faith of our fathers. That's very important. But I'll tell you what's precipitated this. I had the misfortune recently to be in America. Not that America is a misfortune, I love America, let me clear that up. But anyway, I was watching your wretched television. Now, American television is wretched. It's absolutely horrendous, terrible. But the worst of all on it is not the filth and degeneracy. It's actually the Christian channels, so-called. I've never seen such tomfoolery and nonsense in all my life.
Oh, God, but you do it as well. I'm sure a lot of people have touched on some of the stories about Churchill and what he did and didn't do in India. And I think it's always worthwhile to remind yourself that in times of war, when there's big conflicts and stuff, there's very rarely any good people on either side. Got to do what you got to do. And that usually means killing a lot of people. And Churchill was no different. Well, like a great hero of the Anglo-American world, did his best to keep up with Stalin and Hitler.
The madhouse is getting even madder. Here we have
madder.
in Britain today a Christian doctor of 30 years standing sacked because he wouldn't call a 6'2" man with a beard madam. Madness, insanity. We also have a Muslim convert on the rampage in a police station, the headquarters in Paris, France, kills 4. What's going on? Watch the Temple Report, I'll tell you all about it. I'll see you there.
So he's went from telling you about the good book to now talking about rambunctious political ongoings on round the world. Here's the Itchy Richie show. Now, I thought it was interesting. If you see the picture he uses for a thumbnail there. Him and Jim Dowson both loved that. So there's Itchy Richie. Using the exact same thumbnail. There's Jim Dowson. Ain't That's sweet.
Sean Finch, hey Sean, says in your manifesto you want to renationalise national.
Oh God, they talk about nationalising the railways, and I'm not going to do it anywhere.
For saying these things. Why are people having BBC film crews chasing them and going to their houses? I sat with a man in the northeast of England. I'm not going to say it because we actually did a video. We were going to publish the video, but he asked me not to publish the video. I sat with a man who had his house, again a grandfather, who had his house smashed up by thugs as a result of the BBC persecuting him. This is a man that had done loads and loads of work in his local community, a boxing coach. A hard-working man that had built that house with his own hands and had to sell up and leave the area. Why? Because the BBC persecuted him, broadcast his address, published his wife's details in film, and he ended up having his life ruined because he made one comment about Gina Miller. I'll not repeat the comment that he made, but I must admit it was quite a funny comment, and I don't really have much of a problem with what he said.
Well, that's how wound up people are getting, isn't it? So, say hi to the folks in the chat room. It's been nearly done 2 hours, so I'm going to be doing the off. Thanks everybody for joining it. Wednesday nights, it'll be next Tuesday, will be the next, not the Infowars Nightly News, the original, the OG alternative look at the so-called alternative media. Skeptical with the spectacles about the so-called skeptics and watching the motherfucking Watchmen. So thumbs it up, share it with your friends and your families and your foes. Remember what I do, it's digital busking. It's all available and accessible free of charge. I'm going to do such a good job, you'll find value in what I do and use your spare change, not your life savings, in the Patreon and PayPal buttons down below. We'll say hi to everybody in the chat room and then I'm going to get out of here and go and relax. Age of, how you doing my man? FTW, Bob, Stewie, Shug, how you doing my man? Sonia, Stewie, the artist formerly known as Tony, how you doing buddy? Blazing Stars, how you doing mate? Shug, Sonia, FTW, Bob, Sparkle, Whore, Jodie Reed, how you doing Jodie? Blazing Stars, Punk on the Whiskey, how you doing? Punk, nice to see you in. Stewie's in there as well. Punk. Vladimir was in earlier as well. And George Anderson was in there as well. And Schiller's List and McVicker. How you doing guys and girls? Thanks so much for joining. Right, I'm off to relax. Tune in next Tuesday for another Not Infowars Nightly News. Alrighty, boob tubes. Catchies.
Kips Clip. Tonight at 11.
Doom! It's a plan! And I'm angry! I'm not a slave! I've broken the conditioning! It doesn't work on me! I'm primitive, I'm real, I know the enemy, and if we can have this spirit of normal humanity spread, it's over for the globalist! Break the conditioning now! Excuse me.
This is not the Infowars Nightly News, where the answer to 1984 is not $19.95 plus shipping and handling, but the answer is to try and understand the double barrel bullcrap, the double speak, and the Orwellian wonderland we now find ourselves in. So sit back and relax as I take you through a real alternative look at the news and so-called alternative media alike. Enjoy.
Kips Clip.